Good evening from InvestSharp. This is Randy Smotone with your Friday, May 21st market update. On the economic front, there was no U.S. Economic data released today by the government. On deck for Monday is the monthly existing home sales number. That's out about 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And the dollar, gold, silver, and oil were down today. Copper was up. And the light sweet crude futures were down 76 cents, and we're on the July contract now to settle at $70.04. And I actually think if you look at the futures chart now, I think oil actually got kind of higher after settlement, but that's where we settle at, was 70.04. Over at the point figure chart for crude, of course, we've got this bearish price objective for 62 per the point figure chart based on this pattern up here. And, looks like we might head that way. Of course, we're right here is $70, and we do have some support around this area. We took it out by one box, but we actually closed above it because we got as low as 69. So the closing point here is important. Let's go over and look at the dollar. And dollar pulled back a little more today. No heavy selling. More heavy selling here than there was here. So yeah, it may pull back some more. We'll see what happens to the dollar, but the MACD looks good. It has turned down, so obviously we probably could have some little more down. 20, which is the green one here, we've got down about $24.64 before we get down to the 20-day for the dollar. Let's go take a look at the Dow. Dow closed up 125 points to 10,193. S&P closed up 16 points to 1,087. The Nasdaq closed up 25 points to 2229, and the Russell closed up 9 points to 649. The S&P had the larger percent gain, up 1.5%, thanks to the banks. And the Nasdaq was the weakest, up only 1.14%, which I thought that was kind of interesting that the Nasdaq was the weakest. So I don't know what that means, but it's kind of interesting that tech was the weaker one. So the Dow is here. We come down here. I talked about these. Let's go here. Whoops. Watching these May 6th lows. We got near them. We didn't quite touch. So we're here. Kind of be interesting. We had some congestion here, and this is like a weekly downtrend line. If you don't remember, this maroon one go out 5 years, and we've broken above it here. That was a pretty big deal to break out, and then now we're hanging right around it again. And this is on a weekly. So we had here, broke higher. We've tried to stop here, tried to stop again, broke down. So I assume that right up in this, between this 10,300 and 10,400 is, I would expect to be a pretty important level to break through as resistance. So we'll be watching this area up here between this, right around this trend line area. And depends on how the trend line is drawn. It could be anywhere in between this area. S&P, look at that one. Let's go back, look at the 9. So S&P similar, we've touched here, we touched here, we've touched here, still hanging out. Here's the May 6th. It actually took it out. We actually took it out today. The May 6th low went lower, but we did, close up here above this trend line around the so this 1,065 or so. I think that was probably close here. Pretty important. MACD's looks awful, and I'm sure due for a bounce. Nasdaq, same here. May 6th low, took it out, closed higher, took out the trend line here some, but obviously we closed above this trend line here, so that's still pretty much intact, even though it was taken out during the intraday. Volume was pretty high again today. We've had some pretty good volume days, and it was again today. Let's go take a look here at gold. So gold is right here. Gold, where's I got too many things on. Okay, so we haven't got down to the 50 yet. We have broken the 30-day, and this is a simple moving average on GLD. And we haven't got to 50 yet. That's down to the 113. That's probably where I'd like it the most. And probably possible to get down there because we did break this trend line a little bit. And we've had some pretty decent selling. There was no selling today. Actually, volume was kind of low today in GLD, so it wasn't a lot of interest there. Silver, SLV, it is holding this, touched here, touched here. It's trying to hold this trend line. MACD's rolled over though, and since on my MACD this is lower than here, I'm thinking silver's probably going to go a little lower, but we'll be monitoring that each day. Copper, of course, copper had this big sell off, and it's got a little bit of a bounce here, not on high volume, so not looking all that great for copper, even though it was definitely way oversold. And the VIX, crazy VIX. This thing was high as $48, 48.20. I mean, you know, it's just pretty. Let's go back and look here. Let's have to go lower than that. Okay, here you go. We were up here. I mean, you know, the highs up, you know, in 2008 was up here. Luckily we didn't get that high, but we got way up there. It was pretty crazy, but it did pull back. Actually wound up down 12%, sucked the volatility out a little bit. Of course, they're still very volatile because we're way up in here. And semis, let's see if the SOX is still holding. I've been talking about the SOX holding. Right, so we got a weekly here, and so we're holding it, holding. So we're still hanging around this we'll call it 340 to 345 area on the semis. So they're still holding so far. Let's go look at the McClellan. So on the McClellan, we were at minus 90, so we're still pretty oversold. You know, we got down to minus 137, which was the most. We haven't even been that oversold in 2008, in 2009, so it was pretty crazy. So we are still oversold, as you would be expect, because I mean, even though we had came a long way off the bottom, I mean, we've fallen a long way already. So, what else was gonna FXE? I forgot to look at that earlier. So we're back above this 125 level, which you know, looked like it possibly could have some resistance there, or what was support and resistance, but it doesn't seem to me care a whole lot about this level here. Maybe I've just got my trend line off just a little bit, maybe. It's possible. And then the XLF, big bounce here. We didn't get down to this kind of. We have a support around this 1350. Didn't get that low. Big buying off here though. Big, pretty bullish and engulfing here over this bearish candle. Quite a few charts if you go look. That's not unusual. There's quite a few stocks that had this big bullish here today that engulfed the bearish from the prior day. See, let's check the point and figure for gold. Let's take a look at that. So bullish price projected for gold is 1,310. We are here. Closed at 1,177. We do have trend line support at the 1,150 area. The 1,150 area is a pretty important area on gold to watch. And so, I mean, as long as this isn't broken, I mean, you start buying gold again, possibly around the 1,150 to this area here, 1,160 something plus would make sense. I would nibble. I'd be careful. I don't trust this market for anything yet. The charts need time to reset up. It's pretty messy. Silver, bullish price of 29. It is on a buy signal. We're right here. It recently went on a buy signal. Copper, still bearish. You know, this 244 is $2.44. So we're right there. It closed at $2.96. We're right down here. So copper's been really weak, been pretty beat up. Let's go look at the sectors. 15 of the 16 sectors we follow finished in the green today. The bank index had the largest percent gain, up 3.98%. The biotech index was the weakest, down 0.49%. So that was the only one in the red. Of course, no chart watch on Fridays, so I'll post my weekly watch list on Sunday evening. Over to the current market signals. Follow the point and figure charts for the Dow, Nasdaq, S&P, and there's no change here. Dow's on a sell, Nasdaq sell, S&P has never gone on a sell signal per their point and figure chart, and price objective remains intact. These I took away because they didn't even make sense anymore. The chart was just, you know, so broken on the point and figure chart. All right, so that is it for today. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.